Hey, welcome to the Drep and Stone podcast, the podcast where two friends raise a glass and have a conversation. I'm Nick.
And I'm Kyle.
Kyle.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
So good. We're getting our Florida winter in. It's been lovely.
It's been lovely.
Yeah.
And because it's the Florida winter, and I guess technically it's winter everywhere in the northern hemisphere.
Should be, yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, they just had a bunch of snow up in Alabama.
Did they?
Doesn't usually happen.
Nice little dusting.
Not even a dusting. Got like 5 inches.
Damn.
That's a lot. I mean, probably too much. I feel like 3's enough.
I feel uncomfortable.
Boom.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, you can kind of see it on that stool there, like
That's snow.
substantial amount.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Kyle, because it's summer in the southern hemisphere, I
Right.
think we should invite everyone to drink along with us.
Yeah, why not?
I can't think of a
Enjoy
reason.
that beach day.
Sure, indeed. Grab a crisp Kolsch.
Yeah.
Grab a margarita.
A sangria.
Ooh, grab a sangria.
Yeah.
Grab what a tall frosty glass of high quality H2O.
Mai Tai.
Whatever it is you find that's available, that's reasonably priced.
Sure.
And it's going to
Or exuberantly priced. Exorbitantly.
whatever you find that's going to enhance your Drep and Stone experience, crack that open and drink along with us.
Do that thing.
Yeah. Because guess what we're going to do?
What are we going to do?
We're going to crack something and we're going to drink something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, then that makes sense. Yeah. What do you got?
This is the Reserve Series. It says on the label
It
here.
does say reserve
It does
series.
say Reserve Series. This is a in-bottle finished.
Wow. What does that mean?
Well, you can see that there's this little like thing.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. I got a little stave
like
in there.
a stave inside of this bottle. This is a bourbon whiskey.
Cool.
This is a bourbon whiskey at 100 proof.
Nice. Yeah. Like 100 proof.
This is a bourbon whiskey that is finished with a toasted Amburana spiral. That's the little thing you can see in here.
That's what's in there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is a bourbon whiskey from Oak and Eden.
Oak and Eden. Never had it.
Yeah, neither have I. And we're doing the Bourbon and Amburana series.
Cool.
Yeah, this is, well, I'll just read you some bottle words. Our hats are off to you, Kyle,
Personally.
the advantageous worker,
Yeah, sure.
the favored creator,
I try to be.
and the daring sipper.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah, well, that one definitely.
Yeah.
We've created a spirit that celebrates your determination and plain old grit.
Plain old grit.
You got a little bit of grit.
I love grits.
Grits are great.
Yeah. Plain old grit's fine, but I like a little cheese,
Butter?
a little butter in it.
Oh, yeah.
Salt, pepper.
A lot of salt. Let's be honest.
Boom.
Yeah.
Mostly salt.
This 100 proof creation incorporates an intentional, hard to find Brazilian tree species known as Amburana. This fragrant and spicy wood is harvested and toasted to perfection, imparting a unique aromatic finish to each bottle. Pour yourself a glass. It was worth the wait.
Cool.
Distilled in Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so this is Oak and Eden. It's bottled by Oak and Eden. They're out of Bridgeport, Texas.
Yep.
But it is an MGP product.
Some MGP liquor.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which I mean, I've got no qualms with.
They make good stuff.
And we're gonna see if this is another one of the good stuff.
I feel like Amburana
Yeah.
was the word of the year in 2024 in whiskey, or at least
Easily.
in bourbon specifically.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was that thing of like, let's add something else.
Yeah, let's find a fancy thing
Yeah.
that we can put on the bottle.
And it sounds exotic because it is exotic.
yeah, for sure. It's from Brazil.
From Brazil.
Yeah.
Which, can I just say, like, in some ways, I'm a little suspect. Because sure, this thing might add a new hint. We're gonna taste it, like,
Right.
but it's also like this thing is a Brazilian wood product.
Right.
Okay. I know that there's rainforest in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit of a concern, just ethically, maybe morally for me.
Sure.
There's that. But then also, like,
How was this sourced?
yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
But then, like, you're adding this to the American spirit. Like, y'all couldn't have gone to, like, I don't know, Texas and found some other mesquite, which I guess you can do that, or some cherry wood. You call up George Washington, you chop down that tree. Where's that wood?
I mean, I've got to assume they've tried that.
Saul
Maybe it's just
palmetto.
not palatable.
So y'all had to go all the way to Brazil to get Amburana because it was palatable.
Well, I would think in something where you're trying to make something that is palatable, that might be
Yeah, I guess you're right.
an attribute
Yeah,
that you're
now that
attempting to
Now that
add on.
now that I said that and you responded that way, you're making a lot of sense.
Well, like I was saying, there were so many. I saw so many different things that were doing an Amburana
Yeah.
finish or something like this. I don't think I actually had any.
No.
I can't think of one.
I definitely know I haven't.
It was like just kind of like this very hot commodity.
Buzzwordy.
Yeah, buzzwordy
Yeah.
kind of a thing last year. So I am kind of interested to see what it does. But at the same time, though, this is also my very first Oak and Eden.
Right.
So I am kind of wondering, will I be able to discern anything that is specifically from the Amburana?
And my guess is yes. And the reason why I say that is because I did a little bit of research, and Amburana can be very strong. It can add some cinnamony notes kind of things. But we both know what bourbon is. And my assumption is that just regular Oak and Eden is going to be a standard bourbon.
Sure.
You know, that's what it's going to be. So like,
I would assume so also.
so I'm interested to see, like, do we get that spicy notes?
Well, you know, I mean, do we have a mash bill of Oak and Eden? Because like if it's high rye,
Sure.
Then
you're going to get spicy
then
already.
spicy cinnamony things aren't going to be that. Oh, that's definitely the Amburana. You know, I'm just going to be like, well, that might just be the rye.
You looking it up?
Yeah, I'll look it up. Their normal bourbon is a high rye bourbon. 60% corn, only 60% corn, 36% rye.
Oh, okay. So like
High rye.
yeah, you're already spicy.
And then just 4% malted barley.
Okay. So from what I looked up while you were looking up the Amburana series is the exact same thing, just with an Amburana spire.
So
I think you're right.
that's
Like,
my point.
Yeah.
Will I be able to taste something in this that is
Good.
like, oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Good point.
That's not expected. You know,
What I'm looking for is, I know the notes that you generally get from rye in a high rye bourbon. Is there something else?
yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
wondering.
Okay. Well, you don't have to wonder any longer, my friend, because we're going to do it.
Do it.
That was in there kind of snug.
You made that look easy.
Oh, yeah. I am skilled in the art of pouring.
Looks like bourbon.
I'd say it's right down the middle.
Yep.
It's not really dark. It's not really light. It's bourbon colored.
Yep.
Do a little rolly roll
Little rolly roll
before the sniffy sniff.
onto my nose.
Roll on the nose.
I try to.
Okay. Ooh.
There's something different.
There's something. Ooh. Ooh.
At first, I wanted to go maple,
But then I went like vanilla.
but yeah, now it's like something.
It's like Walmart candle vanilla.
Yeah, there's something like creamy, waxy.
And no. Okay. I think I've got the nose. It's a candle. Definitely. It's definitely a candle.
Yeah.
And it's called Bourbon and Winter Spice. That's the candle.
Yep.
But it's definitely like a cheap candle. You buy it like a Dollar Tree kind of store.
Right.
Like a Dollar General.
You're right.
Ain't natural smells in here.
Yeah, no, it is
Oh,
very
man.
artificial
Oh.
smelling.
That is not pleasant.
I mean, it's not. It's just very artificial. I wouldn't say it's like a bad smell. If I
It's
walk into a
not
room and I smelled
bad.
that, I don't think I'd be like, ew.
It's not bad, but it's not appetizing.
Yeah, and it's not what you're expecting. It's not at all appetizing.
Yeah,
Interestingly enough.
The nose on this doesn't makes me want to drink it because I'm like, God, can the nose be on the palate too?
Right.
But it doesn't make me want to drink it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely does. It is very similar to like smelling a candle.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, no, that smells pretty,
Yeah.
but it's not anything that I want to put in my mouth.
Put in my mouth.
Yeah.
It also smells like just a cheap whiskey.
Yeah, it kind of does.
I don't even know a price. Like we were sent this as a gifted bottle.
Yeah.
From a company.
Yeah.
But I don't know a price on this. And
I mean, I feel like Oak and Eden's usually in that $50
really
range.
see, like I'm gonna say before you, like I do want to know the price. Go ahead and look it up. But just based on the nose alone, like now I'm getting like mothball.
Yeah, it looks like you can go anywhere from.
Oh, don't tell me. I would be willing to pay $35 for this.
Well, if you go to Walmart,
Yeah.
you can get it for 40.
Okay. All right. That's just based on the nose. Like I obviously have not sipped anything.
Yeah, and again, this is finished, so
Sure.
you know, because like if you just handed me this and said, "What is that?" I wouldn't say bourbon.
No, I
would say liqueur.
I would say liqueur.
Of
Like
some-
I wouldn't
you know,
even
some
say
sort
like a high rye or even a rye. I'd say like it reminds
Maybe it's got
me,
whiskey in it.
right?
you know.
It reminds me of like a Drambuie kind of liqueur. Like it's a whiskey
Oh, yeah.
liqueur,
Yeah,
but it's not whiskey.
yeah.
All right. Well,
maybe like a pre-mixed.
oh yeah,
cocktail
like
kind
one
of
of
a
those
thing.
like Manhattan kind of batch cocktail things.
Yeah, sure.
Oh God, I rolled it and swirled it again.
It almost feels flavored on the nose.
It does.
You know, it's reminding me of all those things. It's kind of like the candy corn whiskey.
Yeah. Like
do you have any of that?
Yeah, there's
I almost kind of wonder, like, because this is so vanilla-y forward. It does kind of reminisce me of like candy corn.
All right.
Okay.
Enough sniffing, time for sipping.
Okie dokie.
Okay. I gotta like psych myself up for it, I think. Huh. Whoa. The palate is better than the nose. I don't know if that's saying a whole lot, but the palate's better than the nose, and the proof is nice.
Yep.
That proof is present.
It's good.
I definitely notice the wood for sure. And to me, it tastes like
Licking a coffee table.
Yeah, but like camphor wood. Like you know what I mean? Like mothball. Like that's the only way I can like that is the closest note I think that I can get to it.
Right.
It's like cinnamony mothball.
Yeah. Like it very much in the same way that like on the nose I wouldn't be able to tell you that that's bourbon. Wouldn't be able to do it on the palate either. It's different enough that like I would be confused by it. Medium finish. Like that after breath kind of thing is very. It's like I ate a weird candy.
That's what I'm saying. It's almost like a Halsey, like
yeah, not quite
not
mentholy.
Minty, not menthol, but like close.
But yeah, kind of herbally.
I can't get mothball out of my mind, and like that's the predominant note.
Yeah.
Again, I go back to if you handed me this, you didn't tell me what it was. I don't know if I could pick out bourbon.
Ugh.
Who is this for?
Yeah, I don't know. Third sip in, and it's getting worse with each sip.
I think it is.
It's like I'm losing any essence of whiskey. I'm just left with this weird potpourri thing happening in my mouth. I feel like I just had like I licked that candle.
Yeah,
you know?
Or like that's dried fruit. Let me.
Yeah.
So, because the reason why I asked that question, who is this for? Because I think it's supposed to be for me. It's supposed to be for someone who has experience in bourbon, who is interested in doing something else. And that, I will say, hats off to Oak and Eden and everyone else who's done this kind of finishing. I love that idea. I loved it with Maker's Mark. Like, throw some things in there. Let's see what happens.
Right.
But your average whiskey drinker is going to get this. And maybe that's just it. Maybe like we just hope you buy a bottle. But I think like your average whiskey consumer is going to buy this and they're going to go, ew.
Yeah, that's what I am.
Right. And like I'm going to say like with our advanced palates, we're both going, ew.
There's just nothing there that I'm wanting more of.
No.
You know?
Like I'm trying to justify like, oh, well, there's some honey notes and they're there, but they're just overpowered by funk.
It's perfumey, but like not perfumey. Like, I mean, it is like, you know, I think there is like a perfumey thing happening on the nose. Ugh. But it's the, like, if you accidentally, like, you know, it's like you're, when you were little and you were in the, or if, you know, I live with 3 girls. It's my wife and 2 daughters. And, you know, it's like sometimes like if you're standing too close to the hairspray or to the perfume or something and you breathe that in, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah. That scene in Elf where he goes up and spritz it in.
That's what I'm left with on my palate.
That is 100% what it is.
And it's like, I'd rather just this not be on my palate.
It's concentrated perfume in liquid form. That's exactly, and not particularly like high quality perfume neither.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Definitely would not say it's bourbon.
No, and
no chance I would ever have guessed bourbon, except for the proof. The proof is the only thing that would make me think it's whiskey based.
Again, hats off. The proof I think is nice. You get that 100%, or 100%. You get that 100 proof, and that is interesting. But
but the bitter on it's so strong. It's almost in like an aperitif arena, Campari ish thing. If you just drank that neat by itself, or like actually like it's very kind of reminding me of like a bitters.
Yes,
you know, you put a few too many shakes in your old fashioned, and now it's like, especially those aromatic bitters, it tastes a lot like that.
Yeah, you're right.
like an overbittered
too much
old fashioned.
And I mean, maybe it's just like we just don't like that flavor profile.
Yeah, they should have like trimmed down that spire or whatever the hell that thing is. It's too much influence.
I think so.
Knowing MGP, knowing what their bourbon should taste like, knowing that like there's little bourbon in that flavor wise.
Whatever that wood overpowers it, and it feels like,
and it's a big chunk of wood.
It is.
Like, it's a big thing.
So it feels like almost you should do some more marrying of bottles, and like there's Amburana in this versus like this is a stave or a spire of Amburana in this bottle.
Right.
I like the idea. I do. I like the in bottle.
I like the experimentation. I guess.
Hats off to the experimentation, but swing and a miss.
Feels gimmicky.
Yeah, but so are horses and caribou and keys and
totally.
all that other shit. So like for sure.
I'm having a conversation last night at work with somebody where they were talking about like going to a place and like they've got Blantons, and it's just like, oh, cool. Like, but like Blantons is just it's just a really interesting marketing technique. Like then they did the thing.
I read something that Brown Forman is already forecasting a huge decline this year, and by I don't know what huge decline is by their standards, but a huge decline. So that's every Jack Daniel's product. I don't know. And
what's tipping your?
It's because younger generations are drinking less. That's just what it is.
I mean, I've been kind of wondering it for a while in terms of just because of like how much time we spend the past 5 years in liquor stores and just seeing what product moves.
Oh yeah,
slowly. What product becomes more available?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can go into just about any liquor store right now and find like Elijah Craig Toasted.
Oh yeah,
it's so readily available, and it's like, so is that now because like it was popular, so y'all decided to make so much more?
Yep.
But now it's because the people had it, and it wasn't anything that they wanted another bottle of.
That's exactly what it is. It's so the bubble has burst.
Sit there.
I mean, we said this 3 years ago. Like, eventually, you've now made so much product that like people have had it, and they're like, yeah.
Well, but to me, I don't feel like the scarcity of things. It's now a different thing. So it's like once you've had that, you got to have it, you got to try it. Cool. Will you buy another bottle of it? No. So now that thing that was the thing last year is now there and it's available now.
Right.
It's enough of that. It'd be really fun to like geek out over the numbers of it if you could look at Brown Forman's numbers.
Yeah.
Of like what did y'all make? What did y'all move? How much money did you make of it? So now knowing that, what's your plan going
forward? Yeah.
I look at the benchmark stuff. Like everybody's got benchmark now. That marketing strategy was so brilliant for that.
Yeah. But you made too much. I think you made too much.
Yeah.
I think you do it like Ardbeg does. I think that's how you
limited
do it.
releases.
Limited release.
You'll never get this again.
Yep. This thing is brand new, something different. There's only this amount. I mean, when Heavy Vapors or a Spectacular came out, it was everywhere, and you can still find it.
Yeah.
But it was everywhere, and like it's just going to become increasingly harder to find. Same as Bizarrebecue. And so when it's gone, it's gone. You don't do it like like benchmark of like, hey, these are hard to find right now, and in a year they're going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
No, it's like, no, this is it.
Yeah, be done with it. We tried it. Maybe do it again in 5 years.
Well, and to some degree, even like EC barrel proof. Like those of us who know that there are differences in years and bottles, and if you like it, you're going to like it. But most people are going to get a bottle. They're not going to give a shit, and they're going to try it, and they're going to be like, I like it or I don't.
Right.
And so now you've got a fuck ton of EC barrel proof, and like, what are you going to do with it? And liquor stores only have a certain amount of room on the shelf.
Right.
And so liquor stores are going to prioritize what's selling. They're not like, yes, you're always going to have museums, but you're going to have people who like, no, like EC's not selling. I'm not going to buy any more of that from my store.
Right.
So I'm going to have EC from 2023 on my shelf until it's gone.
That's the weird thing too about it. Like, I mean, I still feel like barrel proof moves. And in a lot of cases, it's still really overpriced. But like toasted is everywhere now. Even the toasted rye, I feel like I see that plenty. And that's that was just a new release last year. Ugh. Smell your glass now. It's diaper genie. It's like you sprayed some stuff on it to make it not smell awful.
That is,
yeah.
I think rarely we've said disgusting. Like we've said disgusting, but like it's rare.
Rare for something that we end up featuring.
Yeah.
Because normally, like, if you had already opened that and had it, you would have been like, no, we're not doing that on an episode.
Oh.
Just like we rarely ever save something like that as a fresh crack on the episode. So, wow, we never did Speckled Tail. Had it one time. I was like, nope.
And we're done.
Never putting that in my mouth ever again. Thank you. Like, was having a conversation, like same conversation with a person last night. They were talking about what's that Von D.
Oh yeah, Von Payne.
Von Payne. That's it. He had bought a bottle of that. Asked me at some point in time had I ever had it, and I was like, yeah, like I had it at a whiskey festival not that long ago. I was like, it's not for me. It's highly flavored.
It raspberry? It's our black currant.
Currant, yeah.
Yeah, so currant is like grapes.
Yeah, it's like, it's grape-esque.
Yeah.
And like I like black currant tea, but yeah, just overall kind of tastes like purple to me. But he really liked it. He's like, I'd like to get their bourbon, just their regular bourbon. He's like, but it's really expensive. And I was like how much? He's like, I think it's like $150. And I was like, why? And like he knows nothing about whiskey. Like knows nothing. Like this is like he doesn't ever drink. He drinks mostly like vodka sodas. So he never drinks like brown liquor. But he's like kind of wanting to get into it. And I was like, okay. I was like, but like,
don't.
I was just, well, but anyway, we were just talking about it. And like, and I was trying to explain to him, like, don't get that. Like, just one, I'd be shocked. And I'm sure they don't make their stuff. They're not making their whiskey.
No way.
Like, they're getting it from somewhere. But like, there's the only reason that bottle is $150 is because that's what they want to sell it for, because it comes with a cool topper that pours out of it.
Gargoyle thing.
Yeah. I think the bottle itself just looks expensive, so it's probably an expensive decanter style bottle. But I was just telling him, I was like, man, like that, it's not, if you're looking to get into it to enjoy the whiskey, like that's not why you buy it. The reason you spend $150 on that bottle is because for some reason you're just like an absolute fan of that brand.
Right.
There's nothing about the liquid in it that's going to be worth that.
Right. Yeah. No.
Like, I think it was cask strength, so it was like, but it wasn't even 114. It was like 111 or something. And I was just like, man, like it's not. Don't do it. But they're wanting people like him. Like he's the perfect person.
That's what this is for. That's who this is for. I think that's who this is for.
I don't know who that's for, honestly. Like, to me, there's not like anything attached to that. That's just its own thing.
Yeah,
it's Texas whiskey. Like, I don't know who that's for, honestly.
So that guy, he's like, hey, can I try? Or I know that you do the podcast. Do you have something similar?
Mm-hmm. To what?
Offerman rum cask.
Okay.
He's like, I saw that. I'm not a Scotch drinker. I don't know anything about it. Do you have anything? I was like, why don't you come over real quick, and I can show you some things, and so you don't spend $100 needlessly. He's like, cool. We tried that, and he's like looking, and I think we tried something else. I can't remember what we tried. And then he's like, do you have that famous bottle? I was like, yeah. And he's talking about Blanton's. He's like, can I try it? I'm like, definitely. He's like, are you serious? Like, isn't that really hard to find? I'm like, I guess no. But also that bottle's been there a minute. And the only reason I haven't finished it, actually, I don't have a good reason. Like,
it's for opportunities like this.
That's really why.
Give it to somebody that,
because the last time I opened it was Tanya's boyfriend.
Right.
So he tried it and he's like, huh, that's just bourbon, right? I was like, yeah. He's like,
at 93.
He's like, well, and this is a guy who like never drinks bourbon, and he's like, why does everybody like this? I was like, great question. It's all marketing. It's like
pretty bottle.
It's a pretty bottle. It's a cool.
People like that.
People like that pony. I was like, it's not bad. There is nothing wrong with the liquid in this bottle, but it's not worth what everybody wants it for.
Right.
And so, like, all of that to say, I basically said the same thing. Like, it will come to a point where you're going to be able to find Blanton's everywhere, and it might not be next year. It might not be 3 years from now, but like, you're going to find it. And it's going to be on the shelf.
I don't know. I don't know if we'll see that personally, just because I think that one and like Stag Junior, like those are still pretty hard to find. I think because of the name that it's built for itself.
Sure.
Stores will always have it marked higher.
You think so?
I think secondary stores will.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to carry that mystique and name recognition for a long time.
See, I don't think so. I
just don't think it ever makes it onto shelves.
No, I think in 5 years you're going to find it on shelves. And the reason I think that is because the people that have tried it are like, yeah, it's fine. And so they're not going to buy another bottle of it unless you're trying to sell it secondary, unless that's what you're doing. But then you're going to get to a point where, like,
if you walked into a store right now and they had Blanton's for $70,
I pass it up.
It's a letter you don't have.
I'm not going to buy it.
You're going to have to prove it to me.
The
day that it happens, that you find it at MSRP and you walk away from it.
I see the argument you're making. No. Okay, I see the argument.
Because I think there's still enough people that'll still do it because they haven't had the opportunity to say, "I found it, I got it."
I see the argument you're making. Me personally, I will pass it up. I recognize, like, at 70, okay,
you'll have to prove it to me. You have to take a picture of
it,
and you're gonna have to, like, video yourself walking out.
I
think I would still do it just because it's fun to have that bottle on the shelf.
And I don't disagree. Like, it is a fun bottle to have. It's a conversation bottle, absolutely. But I don't know if that's going to hold out. It might hold out for 5 years. I don't think it's going to hold out for 10 years because I think in 10 years it's going to be like, people aren't going to care.
Like, at this point in time, would you say that bourbon is on the downslope?
Definitely. I think you've hit that 5-year mark, and I think you're on the downward trend.
So personally, I don't think it is.
I think it's definitely bigger than what it was in 2018 for sure. Like, the market has expanded. I don't say that that's not a thing, but I think it's on the downward trend of, I don't think people are as interested as they were 3 years ago. I just don't think that's the case. Now, maybe it's going to shift. I mean, like, I think all interests shift. Like, you might shift more to scotch. You might shift more to, I don't know, even gin or back to vodka. Like, that might have a heyday again.
Right.
But I think the fervor that was bourbon hunting that was 2022, I think is starting to die down. Now, I also say that because, like, I mean, I'm not going to go wait outside the store for bottles unless, like, you're going to go and we're going to make a thing of it.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to do that by myself.
Right. Would you have ever?
By myself, no.
So, like, what I think it is I think the market is just so much bigger now that it seems like bourbon's going down because there's so much more of it.
Interesting.
So, yes, there's so many more options now than there were 5 years ago.
There's so many more companies. There's so many more.
Was Blue Note a thing?
No.
Like,
and if it wasn't a thing, it wasn't like,
it wasn't down here.
Right.
You know, it wasn't widely available. Like, I think there's just so many more products now. Bourbon specifically. This probably didn't exist. Like, those kinds of things that, as a person that's interested in it, you have so many more options now.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, I do want to try 5 of these bottles that I can see now. I'm not going to get them all 5 right now, but I'll try this one now, and I'll try this one later. So I think there's just more opportunity for things to stay on the shelves because I'd rather try something else. And as I move through it, there are going to be so few that do strike me as, like, that's so great, I will buy more of that.
And I think in some ways that's maybe, like, the argument I'm making too, of, like, how many bottles would you go back and buy? Not just one bottle, but, like, would you say I am willing to buy 5 bottles right now? Like, if I could buy it at SRP, I'm going to buy 5 bottles. Like, say that there's a scarce bottle, I'm going to buy 5 bottles. How many bourbons are there that's the case?
Right.
I mean, and it just...
That's what I'm saying.
To be fair, for me, it's those bottles I can find readily anyway. That's really what it comes down to.
Blanton's specifically, and Stag Junior, and a couple of those that they're not, you know, special releases. They're not anything like that. I think there's always going to be, because we've been doing this for 6-7 years now.
Yeah.
And you still haven't found one to buy.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You know, so I think there's still
not true. I have found one to buy. I haven't found one to buy at.
I'm saying, where it would be on the shelf.
Correct. Yeah,
where it would be out on the shelf.
You're 100%.
It's always behind the counter.
Yeah, and
I'm not spending $200 on it.
No.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I have not.
I'm
You're
saying,
right.
like, I don't think it'll ever get to that.
Back
where
to
it's
that.
MSRP on the shelf.
And it's just hanging out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there's any chance. Just because I think that bottle specifically will just always have enough of a mystique about it that it'll always just be too. It's kind of like Buffalo Trace. If you find Buffalo Trace at MSRP for $25,
Yeah.
it's hard not to just.
Oh yeah, and I will
give me that.
Then in that case, you're right. Like, because I do it, and we've talked about this in the past. I do that almost every time, and the reason I do is because it's just a solid bourbon.
Right.
It's a solid, easy sipping, $25 bourbon, and I know that I've said this before. It makes a great gift.
Yeah,
you know, like,
and it's enough of a brand. Oh my God, they got Buffalo Trace. Look at that for $25. Absolutely, all day.
Yep.
I just, if Blanton's ever were to get back down to MSRP on the shelves regularly, I think it's just everybody, if they see that, it doesn't matter what else is on the shelf. 80% of most bourbon people are going to buy that one over
so
just about anything else.
You're creating more scarcity just by virtue of that.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And I would be shocked if we ever see it normal
back,
or like even like, like those, like, the images that we used to see of like the Total Wines,
yeah,
where they've got all the pappies down there, $100-something.
Yeah.
Never again. We'll never see that. There's just no way. I don't think there's any way. Once the value goes up to a certain point, there's only so much more it can come back down. It's like,
correct.
We'll never see Henry McKenna back down to a $30 bottle.
Yeah, and
that'll
it's
never
because, like,
come back
you
down. You
realize, like, people, I guess the companies realize, oh, people are willing to spend $60 for it. Well, we're going to sell it at 60.
Right. Like it amazes me that never changed more than it did.
Yeah, the 114.
Yeah, it might have went up $5.
If
yeah, like it amazes me, especially because it was so hard to find for that 2 or 3 years.
Oh yeah,
that when they did finally have plenty of it, that they didn't change the price.
Well, I remember that when, like, oh, I haven't seen a bottle of 114 in a minute.
Yeah,
like, I got
like
scared.
probably like a whole year.
Yeah, I got scared.
Yeah,
and like remember we went to that store in Tampa and like they had like 4 bottles and we bought all of them.
Yep,
we're like, whoa, and then
get 'em.
you know, yeah.
And then it was like, oh, that was the start of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, y'all started making more of it.
Yeah. Ah, man, I don't know.
It's things like that. It's E.H. Taylor. It's Elmer T. Lee. It's Rock Hill Farms. Like
not even like the antique collection. It's that like mid range.
Yeah,
you know,
just like
still
that,
allocated stuff.
That upper tier Buffalo Trace stuff.
Yeah,
that is. I think it'll always be hard to find. And I think if Buffalo Trace ever got a whisper of, hey man, this stuff is starting to sit, then they stop selling it and they start aging it and holding on to it.
Yeah,
you know, because that's like their benefit on their side of it is like, oh, okay, cool.
See,
then we'll hold on to it. We'll start releasing a Blanton's 12-year.
Sure,
you know,
you're not wrong.
Everybody's gonna want that shit.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and I think like I know what's going to happen. At least I suspect what's going to happen. And in some ways, what I hope happens is your bourbon drinker is going to graduate to Scotch or Irish, and not just like standard. You know, nothing wrong with Johnny Walker, but not just standard like Johnny Walker or Famous Grouse, and not Jameson and Bushmills. But like they're gonna find the things that I think we've done a pretty good job of. Like, here are some interesting things. Right. Unfortunately for us, like our budget limitations. I mean, that Drep and Stone money is, but it's not like we can't buy the $60,000 Macallans.
Yeah.
Correct.
We're close.
Yeah, we're damn
right
close. Yeah, and thank you, listeners, for helping us do that. But I think like you're gonna find a lot of your bourbon drinkers are going to expand further, and I love that.
Right.
And I think that should happen. So then they're gonna see the world that is Scotch, and like again, we've said this before, how very rooted Scotch is in Scotland, but how not precious it's dealt with. And you're going to see like the expansion of, oh wait, there are way more interesting possibilities here.
Right.
But I think maybe you're right. Like, okay, cool. Buffalo Trace isn't selling as well. Let's hold that back and let's release a Buffalo Trace 10-year. People are going to want it.
Yep. It's everybody else that'll hurt from it. All these other startups, like, how old is Redemption? How old is, I mean, I guess the places like High West that are actual distilleries that are making their thing and have got loyal followings and stuff like that, like they won't hurt too much.
Yeah, they might take a bit of a hit, but I think like ultimately they're going to be long-term okay.
Anything basically where you're sourcing it And even if you're trying to finish it or do something unique with it once it's yours, if it's just you're putting your label on there, I think those will be like the first to go.
I think that's where the difference between like someone like Dahi doing that, where you have kind of a niche thing. It's still Irish whiskey. It's smaller, an independent bottler. I think like that sector is going to be fine. But I think in the bourbon world, that is in danger, because like anybody, I mean, you and I with enough money, and we see this with other, even like, more prominent spirits podcasts, they've made their own brands, and I don't think that's sustainable.
Oh yeah,
I don't.
No, me neither.
And I don't think like as much as I would love to like release a Drep and Stone bottle, like that's not a sustainable business model. And I recognize the cost, because we've talked with Dahi. Like I know I've watched interviews with like Seth Detling and people like that, and small distilleries. Like there's a shitload of costs that go into distilling.
Right.
Like not only the tax wise and government kind of paperwork and oversight and that kind of thing, but like there's a lot of money that goes into that.
Right.
But if you're making a good product and you're able to slowly get it out there, I think that's far more long-term profitability than we just went to MGP. You and I selected a couple barrels. It's fantastic, but like we can never, we can't sustain that.
Right.
And
like back to Blanton's specifically, like I think, if you look at the people that drink bourbon, I think we're in a very small minority of people who like have really dived into it to the level that we have.
Yeah.
So you as a consumer can certainly look at Blanton's as, oh yeah, I'd walk away from it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get it at MSRP. I've had it. I understand what the value of it is. I don't need it. But that's, I would say, less than 10% of the bourbon market of people who are into bourbon.
And I can attest to that because we posted something on Instagram recently of actually a tasting that we did 3-4 years ago at this point.
Oh no, that image is pre-Drep and Stone.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that image was your bottles that you collect. No, because I guess it was your trip in 2019. Because you had Blanton's Gold, and like we had some like very difficult to find bottles.
Was it gold in that?
It was gold
tasting?
in that. Yeah,
so
yeah.
Gold,
so
E.H. Taylor, Rock Hill, and Elmer.
Yeah. So it was very early Drep and Stone.
Yeah,
yeah. Like that's got a huge traction just social media wise, and it's all because of
those bottles.
Those bottles.
Yeah.
That Gold Pony. Those that E.H. Taylor. That Rock Hill. Like so.
And I just think those bottles are so hard to find now. Even if you're really into bourbon right now, you could still never find one of those bottles to purchase. Or if you can, you're going to pay so much for it.
Sure.
It's going to take way more than I think 10 years.
You think so?
For that to all calm down and get to the point. Like I used to could find E.H. Taylor. I had a store over in Kissimmee that I could go to. They had it for $40.
I remember. Yeah.
Like I could go over there. I bought at least 5 bottles there.
I remember.
And I was so sad when that disappeared off of his shelf and went behind the counter.
Yep.
Because I was like, dang it. Somehow he's
figured
found
it out.
out what he's got.
He figured it out.
And it's not supposed to be out here on shelves. And he's got it fixed. It's not anymore. It won't ever be back here again. I just think, one, I think it'll take way too long for the store owners to put it back out there.
Yeah.
And not have it behind a case, not have it behind the counter, not have it, locked up so you can't just grab it. But, I think that whole process of it coming back down to earth, I think way too many things have to happen. I think way too many brands have to go out of business and things like that before those bottles are available again. Definitely not in 5 years. I don't think in 10 years. So in our lifetime,
here's a charge. In year 10 of Drep and Stone, so that's in 5 years. Okay, in year 10, we will revisit this episode and see who's right, and then we'll make that decision then. And then in year 15 of Drep and Stone, which is in 10 years, we'll revisit this episode and we'll see who's more correct or less correct,
and see how many bottles of Blanton's has Nick purchased.
0
at that point in time.
I can tell you it's probably 0.
He'll never buy a bottle of Blanton's. He's saying it right here. He'll never purchase Blanton's.
Okay, hold on. But,
It's not that good. He knows it. He knows what he's got. He knows it's not good. He will never purchase a bottle of Blanton's. He'll walk away every time. I just don't think it's true.
Well, there's a hill.
We're just too. You
think?
Yep. I think the first time it's there.
You think
if
the first time I
ever
see it at $70, I'm snag
immediately in your hand. I do, because I know it would be in mine. $70. Haven't seen it for less than $150 in 4 years. Y'all gonna put it there on the shelf for $70? Yeah, okay, absolutely.
Twist my arm.
I'll do it. Sure.
On that note, you got anything else?
Nah.
No, me neither. We do have some more Old Granddad 114 because we switched over.
Yeah, we did.
From that Oak and Eden.
What are you gonna do with that?
I don't know. I might give it to a couple of close listener friends.
Yeah, I mean that. You know,
I mean,
if you've got the opportunity, that you can do that with somebody, just to say, hey, here's something real different.
You want to try this? Ugh.
Yeah,
I might do that. I hate the idea of a drain pour.
Yeah,
I mean, I know we've both done it.
Yeah,
like we both chuck bottles, but like also I didn't pay for this bottle, so that
makes it a little easier.
That makes it a little easier, but I don't think it influences. Like if I paid for the bottle, like I'm gonna keep it. I might not drink it, but I'm gonna keep it.
Right,
but
and hope maybe something happens. Like I might, if I had paid for it, I'd probably doing my best to try to fish out that stick in there.
I don't think
it may be too far past, but like just kind of.
I don't think that thing comes out, man.
Will it not fit? I mean,
I guess
I was gonna say, I'd be trying to get that thing out of there first and foremost because I don't want it to do any more damage.
But what are you gonna do? Dilute it? Like it's already done its damage. I mean, I guess it continues.
Like I said, it tastes like overbittered stuff. So you could start mixing some old fashions and
maybe
just a splash of that in there instead of bitters.
Yeah, I guess
mixing old fashioned, just a splash of that.
Sure, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Well, we'd love to know, what do you think about the Oak and Eden Bourbon and Amburana bottle?
Yeah, or have you had an Oak and Eden that really did knock your socks off? Let us know, because I can't imagine that they got too much stuff.
Yeah,
and it's MGP. MGP is great.
Yeah,
so I don't have any doubt in the label. I just think this specific thing,
perfect point,
was off.
I would like to have a regular Oak and Eden just to let me taste that. Granted, I've had MGP stuff before, so I know what it is. But,
for sure,
I'd like to try it. We'd also like to know, what are your current thoughts on the bourbon bubble and whether or not you think it's burst or you think it's still going strong?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, do you think it's burst? It's popped and it's all coming back down to a 2015 state.
Well, you can get in touch with us through email. It's drepandstone@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us through social media.
It's always one word, Drep and Stone, DREP and Stone. Come find us, comment on a thing, share a thing, like a thing. We'd appreciate your things.
Ooh, who doesn't appreciate things? We'd also love it if you would support the podcast. You can do so very simply by reaching out and telling someone about Drep and Stone.
Yeah.
By rating Drep and Stone wherever it is you get great podcasts like this one. And finally, you can support the podcast by reaching out to any whiskey producer, distillery, independent bottler, and telling them about Drep and Stone.
Yeah, maybe not Oak and Eden. Maybe.
Well, you can reach out to them.
You don't need to point out this episode to them.
No,
we're not blaming them. It's just this thing specifically.
I say do it. I say do it. You tell Oak and Eden that we covered it and we weren't impressed, and they should impress us.
Right.
Send us some
that's
stuff.
Their
to
job.
Impress. Yeah. And we'd love it if you financially support the podcast. You can do so through our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/drepandstone.
Yeah.
On that note, hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
May your glass overflow
and your ass never show. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Nothing beats the Glencairn ping.
Nope.